And we are back, and it is middle of December, and everything is chaos, and it is the Statr Draft, the draft.
This is
the
possibly the least
StatrCast.
prepared we've ever been for a podcast since probably the last time we recorded a podcast.
It's up there. It's up there.
So we're allowed.
But we are here, and like everything else in football in December, it's very scrappy, very fast-moving, and all over the place. It's the StatrCast. It's the podcast from StatrDraft. That's StatrDraft.com. Fantasy football done better. I'm still Jimmy, that's still Gary, and I'm pretty sure that that's our John. So tell us, John, what's on the menu tonight?
There's a few bits on
It's
the
John's
menu
face.
tonight. I think we're going to go a bit scattergun. Tonight because last night was a huge, momentous occasion. Anybody who's following us on social media will have noticed today that we threw up a bunch of screenshots of our teams because we drafted for the first time last night. So I think that's where we're going to start. We're going to look at our draft, we're going to look at our league, and then we're going to look at some topical news from the Premier League.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it short. Keep it simple. Yes, for any of you who might have accidentally fallen down a hole on Spotify or YouTube or TikTok and found us and are wondering what the hell we're talking about, we have spent the last 10 years perfecting, crafting, tweaking, and twiddling fantasy football because the one that everybody plays just kind of doesn't work. So we've made a much more data-driven game. And last night, as John said, we got our app working for a draft in our little gang of miscreants. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you who we all ended up with. 9 of us in the league, and obviously because it's draft at a very basic level, if you don't know, it's not that game where everybody has Haaland. It's like the schoolyard rules. If someone's picked, they're picked. Nobody else can have them. It's a little bit more like reality, but we also go with more data points for a more well-rounded view. So it's not just about goals and assists. It's about defensive involvement, midfield support, goalies getting stuck in, forwards getting back and doing a bit more than their usual duty. And it does kind of tend to reflect more of what happens on the pitch, while at the same time being a little bit trickier and more tactical because you can't just pick who everyone else is picking. And with that,
if anybody's ever watched the TV show The League, you get a good idea of kind of the premise. If anybody's ever watched the show The League, you get. And I think this is very funny because if we just go on a little bit of a tangent on the history, this all started in the back of a phone shop during an argument about N'Golo Kante while we were all watching The League. And that is kind of where this all came from, where it was this kind of culture of loving the game, but, despising your mates. And this idea of, can we find ways of shafting each other? Jesus Christ, Gary had a contract signed with one of the boys.
Yeah.
In Dublin at one point in time. You had Jimi and his brother fighting in cab bowls. Like, the beauty of our game is you can kind of play it whatever way suits you. Like, if you've got family playing in the same league, do you want to bandy together and shaft everybody, or do you want to screw each other over? Do you want to be like me, and I'm constantly like driven by my heart in terms of players that I enjoy, aka who's the big sexy centre forward in the league right now, who's Olivier Giroud, who's Mitrovic, who's Woltemad. Very upset I didn't get him, but we'll get on to that in a second. But we've got trades. You can trade with each other. You can drop a player. You can bench a player. Now, I'm going to just caveat all this, right? Before Jimmy goes into the teams, we thought we were drafting in our draft classic mode, because we have two modes. We have a draft classic mode and a head-to-head mode. Head-to-head is 11 players, no subs, highest score in your match week gets the 3 points. It's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for loss. Proper order, Premier League style. Whereas the draft classic is an 18-man squad. The bench gets half points, and it's total overall points. So when we were picking our teams, Misha picked Mo Salah with the intention of incubating him for the next 6 to 7 weeks while he's away in Africa. And now I have to use my first transfer next week, because we've already used our transfer for this week, to play around and test it. So I have 3 fellas not available next week that I was planning on incubating because I thought we had a subs bench. Yeah. So anyway, basically, if you like football, if you really like football and you have a group of mates who want an excuse to talk to each other and shaft each other, and like, we have some beautiful stories like Gary's wedding. Dean and Gary met each other for the first time in person at Gary's wedding day. Gary was more excited to see Dean than he was his own fucking wife.
He doesn't mean that if you're listening, Rachel.
You and Jimmy apologising to my wife that day as well for taking up all of my time. And me going,
Gary referencing us in the speech. We've had Dean's wedding where there was a little league table in the back corner where we also got a reference. You've had things like Kim, the lady of the league, flying back in from Madrid for a draft night. You've had a surprise visit from Dermot, Jimmy's brother. Like, if you've watched the show The League, you understand the idea. We're a group of lads and girls who basically really like football. We all work together. And 10 years later, we're all doing our own thing. But yeah, this is the thing that keeps us together. So I would say if you really like football and hate the ground your mates walk on, sign up, come and have a game because you're going to love it. But Jimmy, draft night. Draft night was
draft night. Yeah. So just to clarify, if anybody wasn't sure, I had one job, and it was to commission the league, and I put us in the wrong game mode because apparently I can't work my own app. But we're going to let that go. Draft night was a giggle. Took a little while. Relatively glitch free. We had 4.5 of us drafting manually and 4.5 on auto pick, and that's an important one because if you can't make the draft with your mates, our system will pick for you. It will do it in a balanced way so you don't end up with shite players unless your commissioner is really mean about it. So I think do you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw something up on the screen now, right?
Yes, please.
And I say this with all of the pride of a man who's going right before a fall. I am very happy with my team. It's not perfect, but I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to show you guys.
I had my bench to go pick the lads that I wanted to stack it out, but fuck you.
Well, look, I was incubating too because my first pick was Mbuemo, whose bags are packed for AFCON pretty soon, I believe. So
after tonight,
he's going to be no good for me after tonight. And of course, tonight's no good because we picked last night, which was in window. So our league doesn't start till next week. So I picked him at the worst possible time. But what I've gone for here is a 3-4-3. Obviously, anything up to 5 at the back is fine. There's a few different formations in play for the lads, but I'm quite happy. Now, we have our first internal transfer of the season. Saliba's on loan from John's team, and John has Ryan Sessegnon because of his tiny technical issue. But look at that team, lads. Any one of those lads could pick up a red card at any time. That's the kind of
I'm
like...
not opposed to having Ryan Sessegnon given my long-standing affection for him. But I do have Fulham's 2 left-back options, but we'll show my team in a moment.
It's good squad depth you've got there in your 11-man team. But look, what I love about this team is that Romero, Munoz, Grealish, Saka, Tonali, and maybe Minda and Badger, any one of them could get sent off. Any one of them could score 2 goals. Like, there's genuinely such a wide range of points available from all of them, but all of those boys are nailed on. If you look very, very carefully as well, you will notice that with the exception of the borrowed Saliba, I don't have 2 from any one club. Because my strategy this year was quite simple. Who's nailed on and playing? Who are attacks going through?
You also mentioned while we were drafting last night about differentiating. I think there's different approaches. Like, we'll see my team is very Chelsea Arsenal heavy. Jimmy, your team is very differentiated, and Gary, you're also a little bit kind of different. You're more differentiated than I am. And then there's Dean, who half picked Otto and then came in and picked Ahmed and Trossard because he forgot that there's players who play outside of the big traditional 6 teams in England.
Yeah, and that's what I was going for. Because I figured after, so my first round was Mbuemo, and my second round, I think, was Gakpo, right? And at that point, I realized I was in a little bit of trouble because Gakpo is looking like a less appealing option now that Ekitike is really kicking off, and things are obviously going to be changing in Liverpool's attacking line. But I'm quite happy to have both of those players because they both... Mbuemo gets more dangerous the more he's playing, and Gakpo is getting points when he plays. Aside from that, there is not a man on that team that I'm worried about. They will all play every game they're fit. Every single one.
I'm looking at your team and I actually can see major problems, to be perfectly honest with you. None of your front line are nail on. Minty is now that Matoma's back, Minty's minutes will be in danger.
He's fine. It'll be Matoma on the left at the expense of Gomez, and that's no bad thing because Gomez showed himself up to be an FA Cup player.
Okay, sure. But I'll look at that and I'll go the Granit Xhaka love affair. As much as I'm like, oh, Granit Xhaka, it's not sustainable. Aston Villa are in major form. They're not going to finish in the top 4. Yeah. So when European football comes back in the new year, they're going to start to struggle a bit more.
Your team is chaos.
My team's chaos.
Fast at Everton.
My team's always chaos. Last year I picked an 18-man team last year, and only 2 that I drafted were still with me at the end of the season. I'll be tinkering, I'll be switching, I'll be popping and swapping based on form the whole way through the season, and it works.
You're going to have to, though, because even though there's players there that you're saying are nailed on, John's right. There's a few there that are questionable for me. But not only that, you hit the nail on the head at the start, Jimmy. 1 week you could have 3 or 4 players sent off.
Yeah.
And the next week you could have 3 or 4 players getting a hat trick.
Chaos.
Completely, it's chaos is the only thing that's going to be consistent with your team. And I've been in that situation with teams, with squads before, and it's not nice. It's actually really, really frustrating. It's going to be interesting to see how you handle this. But the one thing
Jimmy's looking like a mid-stack team to me.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about this, there's nobody in there who you can bank on to get you.
There's not a dedicated. There's not a point man in there.
Yeah, there's not.
No, there's not. I don't have, with the exception of Nguemo, taking AFCON aside, I don't have a first round pick. But you know what? Nobody has more than one. And once you get past
I would disagree with that.
And this was an 8th round. I was picking 8th, remember? So I was never getting Bruno. I was never getting Haaland. I was never getting, who else escapes me now?
That's how I ended up with Caicedo, Saliba, Cole Palmer, Bruno Guimaraes, or Bruno Fernandes, and Salah in my team. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue. Let's move on to John's team, because I genuinely think you won the draft.
Definitely.
I think yours was the best one. So
I think I should. I think, having looked at them, I think it's between myself, Dermot, and Gary in terms of the strongest draft.
Well, I think it was definitely the ones who weren't on autopick came out of it best. But let me see if I can find our John now.
Well, Kim's team is appropriately Kim. Dean's team is appropriately Dean. And this is when Jimmy fixes this. So essentially, the way a draft night works, and Gary, you'll be able to explain, because we're in different locations, right? So we have different things that we do. Like, you might have the lads from Limerick City who meet up in a pub. You might have the lads then from Dublin and Madrid then who will either meet up in their own locations and dial in, or we'll all just dial in depending on the year. Like COVID, we all did a Zoom call the year after we made a point of all getting to 2 separate bars and drafting. And basically what you do is you pick a time and you pick a night and you all show up.
Yep, that's it. Dino threw us a barbecue one here. That was class.
Yeah.
Hell, I threw one in my gaff a long time ago.
This is my team.
And pizza
if you swap Sessegnon for Saliba here, I've got one of the lockedest teams that you're going to see.
See what I'll say about yours is, right, what we were talking about, for want of a better term, diversity versus concentration. What you've got is 2 Newcastle, 2 Fulham / 2 Arsenal, 3 Chelsea.
Yes.
But it's 2 Fulham. And I'm not sure about Newcastle either.
Nick Pope has been one of the top 3 goalkeepers points-wise for 5 seasons now. Theo has taken Fabian Schär's position at Newcastle. Gabriel and Saliba are the 2 strongest centre-back partnership in the league, and Robinson is back. And if I don't get Saliba back in 2 weeks, Ryan Sessegnon is a defender who's going to play in a front 3. So I'm not concerned.
Pope is ranked 9th in our system.
Who is?
And there were 9 Pope is ranked 9th, and there were 9 goalies picked.
Currently.
That's a good word to cling to like a straw.
Here. He's betting on upside for Pope.
He ends up in the top 3 of our point system every year.
I'm not sure about this year. I'm not sure about Newcastle at the back this year.
Okay,
they're
but
not
there's
what
only
we thought they were.
Kelleher, Verbruggen, Leno, Petrovic, all available. So if I do decide to do a swap, but where my points come, look at my midfield against yours, Jimmy.
Your midfield is terrifying.
The most diverse point hauler possible. He's top 3 ranked overall. Caicedo is expanded out to be more than just a DM. Cole Palmer, I got in the 7th round because everybody forgot about him because he's been injured for most of the season.
We call this the Matoma maneuver. This is what's called the Matoma maneuver. Okay, I pulled one 2 years ago. Basically, once you get to the start of the season, everybody looks at the players and are ranked by total points, which means if they were injured towards the end of the season, they're way down the rankings. And that's where keeping an eye on things comes into play. Like, you've got to know your injuries. Harvey Barnes was another one of the years. He was injured and then he came back and fine for James Maddison, another one who was missing. So like that, John took beautiful advantage of that last night by getting Cole Palmer, who hasn't been scoring for a while, but will definitely
He
score.
hasn't been scoring because he was injured, but he's back and playing. And the reason why I went for João Pedro is now that Cole Palmer's back, that'll push João Pedro into the centre forward spot. So I think
the only question I have for you though, John, are you not too reliant on that partnership? Like if that
on the
doesn't
Palmer
fire,
Pedro partnership.
Yeah. Like if Chelsea don't fire, you lose.
I would say probably in the same way that Palmer Jackson partnership last year, that they both flourished when the other played, and when the other didn't play, they both kind of
So if one of them does,
so yeah, I get that one, but also
it's a
João
risk.
Pedro
It
is
a
a
risk,
beautiful trading. But João Pedro is also a beautiful trading tool. If I want to ship
he
out,
is, yeah.
If I want to ship out any of my forwards, it's not Salah, it's not Mateta. My forward for sale is João Pedro. So if anybody wants to come to me with an offer, but remember the strikers like Sesko, Gyökeres are still on the table. We've got a January transfer window coming up. Like my midfielders, where the points are going to come. My forwards are all fellas. Jimmy, unlike yours, my forwards are all guaranteed to play at the very least.
I don't think there's any more guarantee of João Pedro than there is of Cody
one of them
Gakpo.
every given week will score. And my back line, Anthony Robinson is going to get a lot of attacking actions. Gabriel will score a few set pieces. Theo will score a few set pieces. And Pope's busy. So I'm very happy with my team. I think I'm in top
strong.
3. I'm
I think it's strong.
I think if Palmer if Palmer does play and doesn't get injured, I would be putting you probably atop of the league this year. I think you'll win it.
Yeah, that's the risk.
So it's worth the risk. I do see that. Salah won't play. We know the reasons why. That's fine. But you have enough quality in your midfield to actually only play 10 players and still win.
No, but I'm just to name out the team, just if anybody's not watching the video and listening, I have Pope in goals. I have Thea, Gabriel, Sessegnon / Saliba when we fix that transfer, and Anthony Robinson is my backline. And then my midfield is Bruno, Caicedo, and Palmer, and my front line is Salah, Pedro, and Mateta. Like,
it's strong. It's strong on paper.
But my problem with Salah is I thought we were obviously drafting a bench, so my intention was to pick him, get him into my squad, and incubate him until after the AFCON. Now, that just means, do I take the gamble of being a man down and keep him in the team for the next 5-6 weeks? And these are your draft and manipulation questions in terms of playing this game. Do I sit on him for 6 weeks knowing he's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0? Or do I drop him with the risk of someone else picking him up and then go for strikers who will be playing for other teams, like a Richarlison, like a Sesko, like a Gyökeres, like a, there's about 10 good strikers there that we didn't pick. So do I take the gamble and move out Salah and maybe Gary picks him up in 5 weeks' time, or do I incubate him and sit on 10 men and hope that the rest of the boys pick up enough? And this is the beauty of tactics, I suppose, in playing draft style. Can we have a look at Gary's team?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Gary did really well as well, except for one. Like there was a 10-minute phase last night where it just made no sense to me. But we'll throw it off. And Gary, if you want to talk us through your 11,
I will. So, I mean, the first round pick. I know we've spoken here in great length about how we prioritize different areas of the game, and versus what goes on next door, so on. But ultimately, the big guy up front is still going to get you goals and he's still going to get you points. And that's why Haaland was the number 1 pick in the draft.
I love your front line.
My front, I that is the strongest front line I have ever had.
It's also the size of the bastards. 2 out of 3 of them are just
I won't lie. I won't lie. In typical Statr fashion, the only reason I took Voltamati when I took him was because I knew you wanted him and you were picking after me. That's the only reason he was picked. It was literally,
100%.
It was literally to give you the 2 fingers. That's the only reason he was picked. My favorite pick of all of that is Cunha, because I think I got Cunha in the 7th round.
Yeah, and it's the right time to pick him up.
He just kept falling and falling and falling, and I'm like, at some point I'm gonna have to take him. So I took him in the 7th round, and if I remember rightly, I think Dermot was saying that damn you, Gary, he was my next pick. So I was delighted with that.
I think a few of us were watching him on the fringes and going, when do I shoot my load on him? I didn't want to take him too early.
But he's guaranteed, next 6 games, he's guaranteed to play because Mbuemo's gone to AFCON. He hits form in the next 6 games. Hopefully he will. Then he's nailed on for the rest of the season. Happy days. The punt that we took last night was Odegaard. And again, it goes back to that point, Jimmy, that you said.
I didn't think he was your punt last night. I thought it was Yasko. For me, I think those are your two punts. Verdi again. So just for anybody not watching and listening, Gary's team is Emi Martinez in goals, Malo Gusto, Bardiol, and Calafiori is the back three. Szoboszlai, Elliot Anderson, Morgan Gibbs White, and Odegaard across the middle. Woltemad, Haaland, and Cunha. I see three problems in your team.
I see
but
problems.
You've got a forward line that's going to bail you out of those problems.
Come on, talk to me.
Odegaard
right now is a problem. Right now is a problem, but he's coming back from fitness, so I would be hopeful second half of the season. He's still the club captain. If he gets fit,
no, 100%. I think
he might make appearances. Right. The problem with Odegaard is that Arsenal's midfield and attacking midfield is so packed and has so much squad depth and has so few other injury problems that even if he's appearing, he won't be playing full games. Yeah. I think he's going to suffer from the Son problem with the armband, where he's going to be dropping back just a little bit deeper to keep an eye on things.
He's been the Arsenal captain for a while. I think this is going to be, as you said, the rotation option, because they've also got Martinelli, Saka, Eze, Moreno,
it's fair.
Madueke. If he starts, Eze's on the bench. If Eze starts, he's on the bench, and at 60 minutes, they're getting rotated out. My thing is the double Nottingham Forest central midfield and Gvardiol. City's defences looked very loose. He's been fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pep goes out and finds an upgraded centre back, because that's where City have been City need a centre back and a centre midfielder, and I think Gvardiol could be a fella that by the second week of January you're looking to swap out. But the bigger concern I have is the double Nottingham Forest centre midfield. They're two big players for Forest. But
they're two nailed on players for Forest.
But Forest's form is win a game 3-0, lose a game 2-0, win a game 3-0, lose a game 1-0, win a game 1-0, lose a game 4-0.
Yeah,
it's every second week.
Elliot Anderson is still, consistently in the top 10 players in the league. And I think he's pretty close to the team of the year at the moment so far.
He's in it. Yeah, he's in it.
He hasn't done it this season so far, but he's hitting a little bit of form. But Gibbs White and Odegaard as well, they're two players that I can pass off to somebody who's not really paying that much attention for somebody better. And we all know that I love a bit of shenanigans. And they're two players where I can use. And, well, let's be honest, Gvardiol is probably one as well. I'm actually quite happy with Gvardiol. I think what's going to happen is a shiny new centre-back will come in for City, and he'll move to left-back and do what he did last season, start banging them in from 30 yards. So I'm
also a possibility. I do think where you're very strong, it's your front line that's so strong that your front line, your goalkeeper is busy. I think you're in a position there where I think you're top 3 in the draft because of the power of your front line.
I think I can do some damage with that team.
Right, who's up next, Jim?
I mean, I kind of want to leave Dino's until he's here to explain himself. Do
we just quick fire through the autos? So. Or Dave.
Let's have a look at the
Dave and Dermot were there, so
let's have a look at Dermot, because he's not here and he should be. So that's.
I love this. This is the first time that we're actually looking at showing people our teams are. I'm getting excited.
He's going to have trouble at the back.
Dermot.
I'll give it the rundown quickly. Out front, he's got Thiago, Ekitike, and Doku, which is two good players in Doku. Midfield is Rice, All-Star. Enzo, All-Star. Reinders, disappointing since the first 4 weeks. And Bruno Gummi, who's solid, but he's going to be a bit of a card magnet. At the back, he's got Coyote for Sunderland, Van de Ven for Spurs, who are a disaster at the moment, and Truffo at Bournemouth, which I don't understand that pick at all. In goals, he's got Alisson, who is, lads, I'm telling you, that's a trap goalie. Alisson and Donnarumma are traps because they've got world-class defences in front of them, so they're not going to be busy enough. I would rate my team higher than Dermot.
Yeah, they're the type of keeper that if they concede 6 chances, there's a chance that one of them is good enough that it's goal. And that's they're two stunning world-class goalkeepers. But the quality of chances that needs to be created to beat them needs to be very high because it needs to get past that defence first.
I don't think this is Dermot's best work. I've seen him get away with murder in the draft in the past. There was a season.
I don't know. There's parts of it here where I can see where he's going with it. I can see where Dermot's going with it. Enzo, Bruno, and Declan Rice, 3 bangers in the midfield. Van de Ven gets an awful lot of extra points. back and front because of his overall ability. Ekitike and Thiago, 2 stun forwards. Doku is a fella that when he's on form bangs, but Reinders and Doku, it's one of the two of them who will play. It's like Pep Roulette.
Yeah.
But
Look, like the Sunderland
and Coyote,
fans,
I'm looking at and going, what the hell are you thinking, given what's available?
You guys know that there's only one thing I want more than to win the league, and that's to finish second. No, the only thing I want is to beat Dermot in the Cav Bowl, right? He's my brother. I have to beat him. It's the most important thing to me. And I'm looking at my team and his, and I'm going, my Spurs back is better than your Spurs back. And ye all thought I was mad taking on Romero. Romero's 13 points per game, Van de Ven's 10. 10 isn't bad, but that's the thing about all these players. Apart from his midfielders, right? And arguably Thiago if the form holds. We're talking about players who aren't bad, but I don't think he has a rock star in the same way I don't. The problem for him is the average of what his boys are bringing in is very form-based, very streaky, very short-term, unpredictable, and there's the standard is just lower. These are mid-tier players.
Apart from the three midfielders.
Yeah, I mean, look, anybody who was picking in the first 5 picks was going to pick up Rice, Haaland, the obvious suspects, right? Yeah. I didn't get an opportunity to do that. I got 2 late picks instead. That's the joys of being at the end. So I have a more mid-tier team, but there's no lows as low as fucking Coyote. Seriously, like.
Yeah, I don't think Dermot's winning shit, but Dermot always trades well.
He does, because his Spanish cousin Kim will usually help him out. She'll give up after 6 weeks.
It's not even that. Dermot always uses the open market very well, and this is where I suppose when you're playing our way, knowing when to, like when you're playing Statr, I think more so than over an FPL, like, and I wanted to touch on this after we get through the draft stuff, is like looking at high value form players from teams you don't expect. Like anybody who brought in Harry Wilson last weekend was onto a dancer, but you had to be paying attention to the form he's been in the last. Because I said it to you earlier on today, I was like, Matheus Fernandes and Harry Wilson, and you went, what about him? And I was like, 2 highest form players in the league for the last 5 weeks, and you went, there's no way, but that's the reality.
Oh no, Wilson, I was surprised by Fernandes.
Yeah, but that's where Dermot is very, very good. He'll throw out a Reinders and he'll pick up a Senesi who's going to have 3 banging weeks in a row, and then he'll throw him on the scrap heap, and that's where Dermot's a trader.
Yeah.
Dermot
does spend a lot of time tinkering with his team, but he does it really, really well.
Like I would call Jimmy the tinkerer. I'd call Gary the shenana banana. I'd call Dermot the trader. Like
in previous years,
he plays
Dermot
like
has
stock
been
market. He buys low, sells high.
He is the league boy. He's the league Del boy.
He has been the best draftsman in the league in the past. This ain't that.
No, this is one of his softer drafts.
Yeah. But look, we'll do one more. Will we do one more? Will we look at the other end of things?
Yes.
Let's look at the other end of things altogether, because our good friend Damo, the goblin we keep in the attic and feed a bucket of fish heads every day.
Yeah, has anybody ever met Damo?
He went full auto. He went full auto. He let the machine pick for him, and the machine didn't screw him over, but I am absolutely certain he would prefer to have picked himself. Here's what he ended up with.
Well, if you don't draft,
this is the first time I've seen this, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, this is a 5-4-1. He got the highest scoring goalie of the year so far, which is Roofs for Sunderland. And then at the back, it's Luca Dean. Come back to that in a minute. Nico Williams, Trevoh Chalobah, another Sunderland back, Mukiele, Pedro Porro, who's arguably yesterday's man, Matt Weaver, the only seagull that I would shoot on sight, James Garner, who's central to Everton, so good pick there, Stack for Leeds, Harry Wilson, man of the moment, and out front his solo striker is Django Ouattara.
And you know what? His backline, I'm very impressed. He's got Iron Wall vibes. He's got I'm Sean Dyche, hear me roar vibes. Roves is busy. And the backline of Digna, Neco Williams, they're 2 wingbacks who'll get attacking actions. Chalobah has been performing way above expected this season. Mukele's very interesting because he also is a set-piece merchant for Sunderland on their long throws. And Pedro Porro throws in more crosses than anybody I've ever seen in football. He throws it in more than a Bonnie Blue concert.
Right, who scores his goals?
Nobody. That's his problem.
That's been the problem so far.
He has no firepower up front.
His best goal scorer there
is that
is
midfield because
Chalobah.
they're all form dependent.
Yeah, well, Garner's safe, but Wiefer's terrible. Chalobah is the highest scoring player on that team for the season.
Yeah. His defense is really strong, but I'm struggling to see where he's consistently scoring points. Like Harry Wilson, fine, is the form player at the moment, but he could go quiet for the next 5 games just as quick as he could go on a hot streak.
I think I'm going to put together an article of each team in the draft and when and where, because I actually did screenshot the draft room last night. So I think I'm going to put an article up with looking at each of our teams and what picks each person got them at. Because if you auto draft, you deserve to get spanked a little bit. That's your problem for not being there.
Yep.
But this isn't the worst. It's a safe mid-stack team. He's not in for... Okay, so again, context here. If you're in the bottom 2 come the end of the season, guess what? You're playing in the mud off. If you're at the top, and I don't think this is a team that's going to be in the mud. This is not a "we are wolves, heroes cry" situation. This is a we're Fulham and we're just sadly in the middle kind of situation.
John, what did you call it when you're at the bottom?
Shut up.
Are we getting this? No, for our listeners.
Title.
Are we getting clear? Gary, I don't understand why you're getting up at it. You're half of the blame for this.
In rugby, no, we're not going to tell the story now. I'm just going to clarify the title's name. In rugby, it is the Wooden Spoon.
Mm-hmm.
In our league, last place is called the Harrison, after John.
Yes.
Moving on. Leaving it alone.
We're not going to give context as to why.
Not tonight.
Not
tonight. I want to hear about these sleepers for the next 5
me out of the league.
I want to hear about these players that you've picked out for us, John, because I think we've seen enough of the drafts. We'll come back to the drafts next week. We've got 4 more to get through, but we won't do the whole lot tonight. Who do we like for picking up this week?
So, because obviously tonight we were looking at some kind of floaty bits around the edges. We were looking at how we drafted a game that you're going to be able to play very, very soon, but not quite yet. So we know that, but it's a good time for you to kind of prepare and understand. And as well, some of this information is going to be useful for you over in the other half of the world. Because I think the thing is, right, if you score a goal for Chelsea, everybody notices. Everybody sees it. And we touched on a fella last week, Gary. We said he doesn't score many, but he scores sexy. And that goal that he scored a week ago, if that was Cole Palmer, we'd be hearing Ballon d'Or, he's the best English player ever, Ballon d'Or, that first touch, that finish last. He scores diddly goals, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So I picked him up over in the sister side of the weekend, 2 assists and a goal. He has, what was the numbers? Let me just pull up the numbers. So Harry Wilson has, in the last 4 games, 3 goals and 3 assists. Form player in the league. Outside of Phil Foden, he's the next highest form outfield player in the league right now. Now, where it gets interesting, and this is why what I was trying to look at here was fellas who are not playing in your traditional big teams. Because if Harry Wilson was doing that at Man United, it would be all over the news. If he was doing that at Liverpool, it would be everywhere. Man's on form. But he's doing it at Fulham, so nobody really gives a shit. But also, if you look at the quality of the goals he's scoring, or the assist to Calvin Bassey, chef's kiss, delicate. And now that the AFCON players are going to go away, he has to become more and more front and centre for the next month. So if you're looking at sleeper cell options of players to pick, fellas who are on form, but you're also looking at differentiators where somebody isn't going to, everybody this weekend went, Arsenal have a defender missing. Let's bring in Nkape because he's the replacement for Gabriel at centre back. I went, fuck that. I'm getting me a basic Harry Wilson, and it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So ignore when you're looking at fellas, especially later in the draft rounds as well. If you're playing our side or if you're playing the other side, you want the guys that you know are form players playing 90 minutes in teams that are necessarily out of the media spotlight. If he was putting those numbers up at Brentford, we'd have heard about it. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
It's 6 goals. It's 6 goal involvements in 4 games. That's Mo Salah numbers. Now, is he going to do that come February? Absolutely not. But right now, while he's hot, strike. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. And
if you can do that consistently over the course of the season, you win your league.
Yeah, we call it the Dermot approach of knowing when to sell and knowing when to buy.
Yeah, but it wins you your league.
Yeah,
They're the things, because nobody's getting 11 players who are scoring consistently 17, 18 points a game every week, week in, week out.
But
it's just
again,
not
if
happening.
you use
So you've
these
got to be
fellas,
able to.
if you go right at this, you can sell them just before their dip.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like Fulham's next few games are all games where I'd expect them in the next 4 games. I'm expecting them to pick up 5 or 6 points. Anything below is disappointing. Anything above is, oh my god, what's happened here? Especially with the AFCON players going. But like 3 weeks time, you're leaning on your dean of the league. You're leaning on that guy that guy who just watches Man United or just watches Liverpool or just watches Arsenal, and they pay no attention to the other clubs in the league. That's when you can fob someone like this off him, because the second the media have started speaking about him, sell him.
Yep.
Now, he's not the only one.
Wonderful to watch.
He's not the only one. There's a particular centre forward who was ridiculed for about 2 years because of his paper mache kneecaps and his hamstrings made of goat's cheese. Anybody tell me the kind of form he's on? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is his name.
Best form of his life.
He got 5 goals in 10 games, I think.
5 goals in 10, 4 in last 4.
Yeah.
4 on the trot.
There's a whole transformation there at Ellen Road as well. I mean,
yes.
Leeds, I know they're not getting the wins, but they are no longer looking like absolute relegation fodder. They're out of the bottom 3. They're going to head to West Ham. And he has been central to that. And I think that form's going to continue, weirdly.
Yeah, like they had City, Chelsea, Liverpool in the last 3 weeks, and then who did they play yesterday?
So
Brentford.
They haven't lost in their last 3. They drew with Brentford, they drew with Liverpool, and put 3 past Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they beat Chelsea 3-1.
And they lost to City.
They lost to City and they lost to Villa, but that's 2 of the top 3 clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also they were tight games.
They were.
And in those games, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored in the last 4 of those, which means he scored against Brentford, he scored against Liverpool, he scored against
Villa and City and Chelsea.
City and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Now, what's happened there, and again, this is where you want to note little tactical tweaks and form players when you're picking players or looking for differentiators, depending on what game you're playing or what you're doing. Leeds have changed to a 3-5-2 formation. So what they've tried to do there is, knowing their lack of firepower, they've decided they needed to get another guy up in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had a goal scoring problem, which was so clean and obvious to see for the first 10 weeks of the season. You were like, if they don't score up their goal scoring rate, they're going down without a whimper. So what do?
Yeah.
You get a second forward on the fucking pitch and find a way in. It's.
Yep.
I mean, it's not always that simple, but it's clearly the issue. Like, there's only 5 teams that haven't lost in their last 3. Anybody want to try and name them?
Haven't lost in the last 3. Aston Villa.
City.
Correct.
United.
Correct.
Leeds. And Fulham.
It's Liverpool, Gary.
Is it?
It is, yeah. 2 draws and a win. Win over Brighton, and absolutely deserved.
That's just
drew with Sunderland, drew with Leeds. But what I'm getting at here is the big clubs are starting to separate from the small clubs because squad depth has such value at this time of the year. So the guys who have that bit of rotation option, sure. For Leeds to be doing this, it's really impressive. So what they're doing is working. I can't go much more academic than that. You've got the wrong brother for that discussion. But what they're doing is working. And
this is what I was saying. Like the fact, like they were playing like a 4-5-1 formation. And essentially their plan for the first 5, 6, 10 weeks of the season was be really stodgy, be really hard to beat, and block teams out, and play for set pieces, and play for a set piece, and try to get a 1-0er. But the problem was they were lacking that quality up front, and they weren't creating enough chances. So by changing it to a 3-5-2, it's a tough job for the wing-backs, but it means out of possession they go to a 5-3-2, and in possession they become a 3-4-3 at times, because you've got one of those midfielders who steps through. It becomes a bit more fluid. It becomes a little, but it's also one of those formations that because teams aren't necessarily used to playing against it, it's harder to understand your role when you come up against it. So it adds a bit of chaos. It adds a bit of differentiation. But what it has meant has also been that Dominic Calvert-Lewin playing in a 1 has to run more, which puts more strain on his body, which means he's fucked when he's trying to get in on goal. It means he's more likely to get injured. By having a fella like a core beside him who can go do the pressing, he's able to play more as a kind of like an old school target man, where it's take the ball in, flick it on, and then move to receive the secondary pass. Which I think last night watching it, he had 11 flick-ons in the game. So basically, take the ball in, play it left, right, spin, and get behind the defender, so he can get a shot off. And it's working. 4 goals in the last 4 games. It's his second best goal scoring streak in his career. The last time he put a streak like this together was 5 games in a row scoring a goal, and that was for Everton in 2022, before he ended up with another long-term injury. So again, this just goes to my point of you have to be looking at the teams outside of the... Because again, and I'll talk about this in a few minutes, Man United are talking about change of formation, but like the press conference was at 6 o'clock and we're already hearing about it at 8, and it's everywhere. Like, who gave a crap that Leeds moved to a 3-5-2, but it's changed their system.
It has. It may save them. It may keep them up.
Mm.
Like, it's back in play now like it was not 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. West Ham continue to flounder. Burnley and Wolves, I think, are...
Well, actually, the other fellow I wanted to look at was actually a West Ham player. So he was my third sleeper cell. He was my third sleeper agent, was Mateus Fernandez. He is the third highest scoring player in terms of our point system, and over in the other side at West Ham behind Jared Bowen and Paqueta. And if you look at our system, I think Paqueta's at like 197 and he's at 194 or something. Like, they're very, very tight. So he's actually kind of just quietly going about his business and picking.
You know what I can do? I can pull it up.
Yeah, they're very, very close. We're looking at 4 goals this season. We're looking at 3-4 assists this season. But he also seems to come to light on the days where Paqueta is missing, because he's had a Paqueta.
Mm. Oh, look at him there! Do you want to see it, lads? Do you want to see West Ham for the year?
Yes, please.
No, we can do that now.
If you can pull that up to kind of prove my point.
Yeah, you're dead right, Jay. I can't believe I missed this. There's the boys, top to bottom. As you can see, Jared Bowen reigns supreme. Respect on the name. Paqueta just behind them, despite all the yellows. And there's your boy. Now, that kind of came out of nowhere, but it didn't really, because 12 per game is serious. Let's see where he's getting them from. Yeah. We've got goals. We've got assists. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's a midfield workhorse there. Key passes, crosses. All right, he's a bit dirty, but sure, look, we'll forgive him that. 463 is not to be sniffed at in the passes. That's good. We've got none of the big discipline stuff. Winning aerials as well. I presume he's a fairly big boy if John likes him.
He's not the biggest boy, but he ain't small.
Tackles. Right. Tackles. So he's able to get stuck in as well as doing the sexy stuff up on the wings.
Cam.
Yeah.
As an attacking midfielder. So he gets around. So this is what I mean. Again, just proving my point that if you look at teams outside of Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, blah, 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 you're going to see these little sleeper agents that you can pick up at the right time of year. So right now I'm looking at Harry Wilson, I'm looking at DCL, I'm looking at Mateus Fernandez, and Callum Hudson-Odoi being the other one.
Will we have a look at Forest? Would we like a look at Forest?
Yes, if we can have a look at Forest.
Absolutely. There we go. No surprises up top. And then the 2 boys I've been ranting about all year in Nico Williams and Morgan Gibbs-White. But there he is, in at 4.
Yep, and what's happened there is he would have been the type of player who under Ange probably should have flourished. Didn't. But under this type of system where it's more counter-attacking football under Sean Dyche, which means when you're looking at fast break football where you have to get it out to your wingers where they can take on a man and run at a man, he becomes a lot more paramount in terms of service into the box.
And the numbers are backing you up here, Jay. 17 KPs, 6 on target, 44 crosses. This is the man who is feeding the man.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, this. Little bit light on volume of passes.
And why he's a sleeper agent is, for me, the reason why he's a sleeper agent is this form has turned on in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's kind of coincided with not just Sean Dyche coming in to the chain reverting system, but what it's also done is you've kind of got horses for courses. They know and the more they kind of play together under Sean Dyche, the more those 4 players are going to keep getting more and more important with a little touch of Sangare right behind them.
So I'm going to flag something with Hudson-Odoi there, and I think it actually feeds into what you're saying in terms of we're about to see him kick off. if you caught it there, if you're watching us, you'll have seen that he only has 770 minutes this season, but he's still pulling 11 per game. Now, the 11 per game isn't about minutes, so he's putting 11 per game, and he's only getting, where are we there, 50-ish minutes a week on average, which means if he's playing full games, which he will be now because Awanye is away. Do I have that right?
Yeah, they've again. There's an article up on StatrDraft.com where I look at the Afghan players who've left every club, and again, he was one of the highlights. So that's 4, isn't it? That is Harry Wilson, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mateus Fernandez, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and there was one other that I mentioned.
Don't tell them. Don't tell anyone. You have to go to the website to find out.
Yeah, I'll have an article up by the weekend, and you'll see my 5th one.
Do your own research.
We have a little bit of time, so do we want to look at the fixtures for this weekend and give our thoughts?
Yeah, let's give them a run. Let's give them a run.
Who have we got this weekend?
Actually, it's a very, very busy Saturday.
It's a very busy weekend.
It's a very busy Saturday. There's like 8 games on Saturday, isn't it?
I'm actually really happy I got to have my little sleeper cell conversation because there's too much love for teams like Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. All of these lesser teams have fellas worth looking at.
Yeah.
And people always skip over them. So I picked
lads,
Harry Wilson last week, and I went top of all my leagues last week. So shove it.
It's the greatest league in the world. You know, the 20th place Premier League team. Well, maybe not this year, but the 19th place Premier League team is a Premier League team. It's going to have 11 serious professionals at least. So keep an eye. Like the one we were laughing about last night because he had such a good start to the season. Josh Cullen. Josh Cullen's first 7 weeks had him in the team of the year consistently for Burnley. For Burnley, you know? So you got to keep an eye further down the table. It's not all about rock stars.
Yeah.
Well, put it like this. If you're giving me a choice right now, and this is going to, it's going to feed into my ness. If you ever give me a choice right now between Harry Wilson and Gyökeres, I know which one I'm picking.
Had you given them the choice at the start of the season, you knew which one you were picking as well.
I also would have picked the other direction. Like you heard me in the summer, and I stand by my point, and I will be proven right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, some highlighted matches. So, in terms of this weekend, do we want to just pick out some key ones? Because we've got
Sunderland are going to kill Brighton. Sunderland are going to kill us at home.
Yeah.
No.
Form's terrible, and it's going to get worse.
Monday, the 22nd of December, Fulham are going to break my heart because they're playing at home against Forest, so we're quite good at home, but Forest are also better away, so who knows. Man United, Villa, that could actually be...
That's Villa.
No, that... Well, after that...
I don't know about that now.
Jimmy, Man United haven't lost in 9. One loss in 9.
United aren't travelling well.
9, and they could also be 3 points behind them come this match week. It's a top 4 clash. If they win
Villa have 5 on the bounce.
And United could have 4 and 5. 3 points difference coming into that game next week if they win tonight against Bournemouth.
I mean, I'm going to come back to what I've always said.
It's a tasty little clash is what I mean.
It is a tasty clash, but I think, again, I have to remind you that United are mostly beating shit teams. Villa beat Arsenal. I'm telling you, Villa win that one.
We also watched what Wolves did to Arsenal the other day, so that was one of the most depressing games of football to watch. But yeah, I'll rattle off a few: Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton, Sunderland, Man City, West Ham, Wolves against Brentford, Spurs versus Liverpool. That's a game to watch. Everton at Arsenal, Leeds Palace, Aston Villa, Man United, and Fulham Forest. So the highlight games for me there are Villa United. It is Spurs Liverpool because that could go any which way. Neither team knows how to defend at the moment. That could be
4-4 or nil.
And I think Newcastle Chelsea, and then the other game I think will be fun to watch. The fun to watch one I think will be Fulham Nottingham Forest. I think is going to be great crack to watch because that's 2 opposing styles going tit for tat. Any do you have a preference of where you'd like to discuss?
I would like to see if Wolves can actually make something of these next couple of weeks. And I think Brentford are exactly the kind of team where they might actually pick up their first win of the game because Brentford don't travel well either. Wolves weren't terrible against Arsenal the other night. There was 2 own goals, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were desperately unlucky.
Well, they also did lose 4-1 to Man United the week before with 3 of the goals, at least 2 of the goals being their own making. The Wolves' problem is they're in such a rot right now that even when they play well, they'll find a way to shoot themselves square in the foot. I genuinely believe Wolves will go down as the worst Premier League team of all time. Gary, I saw a little nod there. Talk to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. Look, I mean, I didn't watch the game against Arsenal. I kept an eye on it, but from what I heard, they were, for 92 minutes, they defended like Trojans and then shot themselves in the foot at the last, 2 own goals in a game. I don't care who you are, but if you score 2 own goals in a game, you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that consistently this season. I would disagree with Jimmy. I don't think this is going to be a game where Wolves will turn it around. I think Brentford are primed to go and win 2 or 3-0. For me, this is where you pick up someone like Thiago or Ashadi to get maximum points in your league. I think that they're primed for a 2 or 3-0 win.
Mm-hmm.
Can I throw a curveball at you, boys?
Hit me.
Everton are going to beat Arsenal.
I would absolutely agree with you on that one. I think Everton have the beating of Arsenal this weekend, and I would be looking at Jack Grealish or Ndiaye for that. Arsenal.
Hope you're right about Grealish. Hope you're right about Grealish.
I hope you're right. Well, I just hope you're right about it.
It begins.
Listen to how the tone of the podcast is ever so slightly changing now that we have
changing a little bit now.
We've skin in the game.
Yeah, we went from a Disney movie to the end of Reservoir Dogs real fucking quick, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Wait until this gets to the last 10 weeks and see the murder bone that happens.
Oh, it gets rootless.
It gets really weird. We will be trading live on podcasts because we did this at times last season and made an absolute pain.
We did.
But
we did.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Arsenal have hit some sort of a snag. I don't know what it is.
Defensive injuries. Defensive injuries.
They have depth. I'm not buying that.
There,
Calafiori, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel. That's your first choice back forward with only one fit.
Yeah, but even at that, if you've got a bad back four going forward, they haven't been great.
Yeah, but that's replacing Ben. That's Mascara, Hincapié, Ben White, and Lewis Skelly coming in. All good on their own right, but to swap out 4 for 4, is it going to affect any team?
No, it will. That's fair enough, but they still haven't been great going forward. If you're looking at this from a purely football perspective, they're still winning games even though they're not playing well, and that's how you win a Premier League. That's fine. They probably will win the Premier League this year.
I know they won't.
But from a fantasy perspective, they're questionable at the moment, with the exception of Rice and Saka. They're questionable.
I was about to say Saka and Rice are your.
Yeah, they're your 2 bankers. That's fine. They're always going to get you points. I think Everton will do a number on them. They're physical at the back, which, Arsenal.
I think they're just physical. I think that's a day where Barry looks at 2 young centre backs and goes, "All right, who fancies being bullied today?"
But this is why I think you look at Ndiaye and you look at Grealish, because those 2 boys will run at that defence and have a field.
They will, yeah.
Yeah,
they will.
I enjoy.
Ndiaye goes around defenders for fun, like.
I am picking up what you're putting down there. I can see the everything. We need to get Gary's weekend predictions back up and going. You know that. That's one. Just send me a text with me, and I'll put it together in a piece for you. Other one I want to look at is Spurs Liverpool, because they're 2 teams.
That could go anyway.
Because I said a few weeks ago, Farke and Parker are the 2 most likely to get sacked. I still stand by that, but the next 2 on the chopping block are Slot and Frank.
Yeah, I think
things have turned real septic real fast at Tottenham.
When did Spurs last beat a proper team?
When's last time Spurs won at home? They've won 3-20 at home. It's piss poor at home.
This is Liverpool all over, mate. And I hate saying that. You know that.
Oh, no, I get that. It should be Liverpool all over, but after getting shellacked against Forest at the weekend, they will come out with a bit more fight this week. But things have gone so septic so fast. Like Jed Spence, by all accounts. Again, I watched the interview with Thomas Frank after. When Jed Spence was subbed off, he basically threw something at someone on the side as part of the management group. Now, Frank didn't see it because he was focused on the game, but he was like, "That's not acceptable." Fans booing home and away for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. It's gone real septic, real fast up there.
Really?
And I think if they don't show signs of life, then I'd like Thomas Frank as a manager. I think if he gets through this little bumpy patch, he will put Spurs into a position where they will be good long term. it's very hard when you're missing Solanke, Kuleveski, Madison, and you're trying to figure out a front line that's
yeah, and I mean this
mess.
has been the chatter for the last I don't know how long with Spurs, and we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Even the numbers support that there is just a lack of food for the attack from the midfield. There's nothing coming in. There's no center to that team. There's no creative playmaker who's going to get it from back to front.
No, never mind.
But yeah,
Monday Night Football over in the corner. I got distracted by a potential penalty. Also, can I just mention that the most beautiful man in world football is the pundit on...
it's Fabian Schär.
I was actually going to say Dean Ahern, but no, it's actually Olivier Giroud.
Oh, he's a gorgeous man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's gone into punditry, but
when you look that pretty, how could you not get yourself on TV, right?
I just figured I'd see him in one of those Christmas perfume ads before long. I love Christmas perfume ads.
You see him in every Christmas perfume ad. How dare you have not been paying attention to the cheeks of Giroud? Anyway, focus. Other games I'd like to look. So as I said, like Newcastle, Chelsea, that's a red card off.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also think it's a game where Voltemade actually comes back. I think he will have a field day. And he'll have a chip on his shoulder for losing them the Tyne-Wear derby.
I agree.
So he'll want to make up for that.
And Chelsea are a very weird team. And did you see the Maresca press conference? Gary, you must have.
No.
Oh, fuck. Maresca did do you remember? Okay. So do you remember the way I said Maresca's a bit of an emotional man?
A little bit.
And do you remember the way I said that this attitude seeps onto the pitch? And remember, well, anyway, after their game midweek, he had a little press conference, and the last 48 hours at this club has been the hardest I've ever put down, and there's people not supporting us and not backing us. And when he was asked about it there yesterday before the game, I said, what press conference? What are you talking about? He basically had an argument with somebody before the press conference or the day before and was fucking simmering on it. I don't think he is caught out to be a top-end Premier League manager.
I don't get this. Like, what?
I think he's going to. I think he'd be a good manager in Italy or something like this. But with the profile of that Chelsea squad, I think they need a taskmaster, like a Simeone type, someone with a fucking stick and a bat, and go shut up, get in line, and do as you're fucking told, boys. Yep. Not someone who amps them and ramps them.
They're doing grand. Okay, now I will say this: there is a bit of a gap opening there between the top three and everybody else, and they're at the wrong end of that gap. They're 5 points behind.
Sure, Gary, go on.
They're doing fine, Jimmy. You're right, but with the squad depth that they have and the money that they have, they should be doing better than fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
They should be. You know, they should be. If you put Ancelotti, Simeone, even Mourinho, someone like that in there who will not take the shit that Maresca will take.
I don't
that team is a Premier League challenging team. That squad that they have is better than Arsenal's squad. Overall. My opinion is.
Yeah, fair. I think they have a very good squad.
Maybe not first 11, but squad.
I get what you're saying. I don't think he's necessarily taking the shit. I think he's feeding us.
Maybe, but
the shit
being stirred.
He's been sent off this season. He's been yellow carded this season. He was sent off and yellow carded a couple of times last season. And an interview like that, which seemed very... Oh, my ass, 2 days. This club is the hardest I've ever put down. Lads, you lost in the Champions League to Atlanta. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
You had an argument
with
somebody and threw your toys out in the pram and couldn't get over yourself. And I think that, and then, do you know that fella, Tyndall, who's number 2 at Newcastle? If I'm him, because he's a mouthy little shite, I spend the whole day on the sideline just winding up Maresca and waiting to see who gets red carded first. Like, there's tactics outside of football, and your man Tyndall always seems to be out around marching around the Newcastle technical area. If I'm him, and they're trying to flex my arms as he always seems to be in every fucking photo you ever see of the man, I just start calling Maresca Baldy for the day and to wait until he reacts.
Bit of shit.
He doesn't like the dark arts, does Maresca?
Doesn't like the dark arts. Well, he loves it when it's for him, but hates it. Can't accept it when it's against him. I think Chelsea would be a lot better with a taskmaster style manager. So my big shout for this weekend on that match is a red card.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to another installment of Chelsea Red Card Lottery.
Chalaba.
I really cannot believe Cucurella hasn't got there yet. But I'm saying Enzo. I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why Enzo. Because the Newcastle midfield is filth.
Yeah,
I think
no,
there's
that's
going to be
fair.
battles fought in the middle of that pitch between Bruno Gummy and Jolinton and Tenali. There's nobody there as shy or
Find the
gentle.
lads who are religious. They'll take Christmas off.
Because they want the Reds.
Gary, you remember this from back in the day. There'd be fellas that wanted a few Christmas scoops and a bit of turkey, and they'd
Oh,
find
yeah.
the week before Christmas they'll get a clean red card,
Yeah.
and with no apologies because they're like, "Cool, I don't have to go training Christmas Day. I get to stay at home."
Absolutely. I used to do it when I played amateur ball. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
my big shout for that match is a red card. Which side? Who knows? It could be that could be Bruno Gomes and Enzo Fernandez both red carded the same
Two of them
incident
just
type of day.
knocking the head off each other.
Oh, Estevao's dad is a priest.
Estevao won't play enough minutes.
He only needs one.
He's
Straight
not
on, straight off.
Yeah, you kind of get the point. Is Estevao's dad a priest?
His dad's a pastor, yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. There is something. It's not a great logic, but it's a logic. So right, Newcastle, Chelsea. Yeah, that's the one I'm going with. Spurs, Liverpool. We talked about Villa, Man United. That's a top four clash, depending on tonight's result.
Yeah.
Fulham, Nottingham Forest is the highlight game for cracking banter for watching. I think that's all I have for you tonight, boys. If you're not paying attention, head over to StatrDraft.com. I will have a couple of articles I'm working on. One is those sleeper agents. Another one is what every team needs in what one player, one position, one player that each team needs in the January transfer window. I know this team's like Wolves who need actually like miracles, but one player, one team for each club in terms of that and the sleeper agent. So I'm working on those articles at the moment, and I think myself or Jimmy is also going to get to Statter's draft night. So there's plenty of content. Jimmy, do you want to give us a Statter update before we bail?
Yeah, the app works and we're playing with it. It's class. Are you not playing with it yet, everybody? Oh, we will be soon. Don't worry. We'll be getting it out there. As soon as it is fit for public consumption, we'll be lashing it out. Waiting lists, phase 1 and 2 first. And you should be using Android because it's just better than iOS. But it's on the way. It's very on the way. We're playing with it. We're loving it. We're tweaking final little bits and pieces. And watch this space for more backbiting, throat cutting, deal making, league breaking, and me inevitably finishing second.
So peace out. See you next week, and we will have more Statter updates for you then.
So long, darlings.